Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Lianas Senior Transition Support, helping you navigate home care and senior residences.
And good afternoon. Welcome to Life Unrehearsed. My name is Matt Delvecchio, specializing in life transitions, elder care planning, and the senior living industry. Coming up on the first half of today's show, well, many of us may have overdid it during the holidays. Time to get back in shape. You know the attitude. I'm going to do it. Been there before, though. And how long does that actually stay motivated for? Maybe a month or two, maybe a couple of weeks. Well, maybe it's your fitness routine. We're going to be speaking to fitness and nutrition coach Phyllis Frost, who's going to save us, including some expert advice on the 4 cornerstones of fitness. And on the second half of Life Unrehearsed, very pleased to have Mitra Ann Soden, who will be joining me. She's a very well-respected elder law lawyer and mediator, especially regarding the protection of vulnerable persons in Quebec. We'll be talking about the many different types of elder abuse and what we can do to, number 1, recognize it, and 2, how to make a difference. All right. Thank you for joining me on Life Unrehearsed. Hope you're having a good weekend. Let's bring in fitness and nutrition coach Phyllis Frost. Phyllis has joined us on Life Unrehearsed around this time of year every year for the last few years, and to talk about fitness, how to shed some pounds, and more importantly, how to keep it off. Phyllis is a personal trainer, and we've talked about people not sticking to their New Year's resolution. Well, this very rarely happens if Phyllis is your trainer. Let me tell you, what I love about her is that she's extremely knowledgeable. She keeps things simple and fun, and she makes sure you're accountable. Well, Phyllis, welcome back to Life Unrehearsed.
Hey, thank you so much, Matt. It's so great to be back, and Happy New Year and healthy 2023 to you and all that you love.
Thank you very much, Phyllis. Glad you're back. Love having you on this time of year. And like I mentioned, the beginning of the year has plenty of people working out. The gyms are busier. Personal trainers are busier. Inevitably, there's a drop-off after the first month or two. Phyllis, what's the key to staying motivated?
Well, I'm going to talk now about baby boomers. I'm going to focus on that market today because that's where I am. That's where you are. That's where we are. And baby boomers are aging. Yep, we're more enlightened, we're more woke, but yet we still suffer needlessly. Okay, so just as important as getting into shape and keeping it off is staying in shape. And there's a saying: losing weight is the easiest thing I've done. I've done it a million times. But how do you keep it and maintain your goals? So yeah, that's where I come in. I'm your coach. I'm your accountability partner. I will design workouts that are geared towards your personal needs, or that taking into account all your injuries. So it doesn't matter how old you are or what fitness level you're at, because in order to live a fit life, it's important to always work out hard during your workouts, whatever you're doing. Right. And yes, there are certain pillars of fitness, Matt. And
we're going to talk about that. And Phyllis, I think you're bringing up a good point, because I think every individual has to have their own motivation, right? Some do like to go to the gym. You're a personal trainer. I'm sure all your clients, they like that person to sort of get them going and making sure they're accountable. And one of the things that you always talk about is, when we talk about losing weight, I think it's fair to say a lot of people can lose weight, but the hard part is keeping it off, right, Phyllis? So right. What are some of the key factors to maintain your weight after you've shed some pounds?
Okay, well, it's a matter of just not looking at it as a diet. This is a lifestyle. This is your lifestyle. So the same way you get up and you'll take your shower and you'll brush your teeth and you'll go through your daily grooming things, well, working out, putting the fitness in your life is the same thing. So, for example, I'm going to give you some of the pillars. So one of them, of course, is resistance training. Resistance training, which would include functional training movements. It could be core work, weights, resistance bands, dumbbells, machines, all that kind of stuff that creates resistance on the muscles. Because the more intensity you have safely, the muscles tear down, they build up stronger, and that's what hypertrophy, and that's how you build muscle. But you can't do it if you're going once a week. There has to be consistency, all right? Functional training is so important, especially as we're aging. So, some people can't barely stand up. Well, if you squat every day in your life and you work on squatting, you'll never have a problem standing up and sitting down. Rotational movements, a plank. Those you don't even need equipment for these exercises. But what you do is build more stability, balance, and if you do have a fall, you have stronger bones and limits the injury.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing, is to keep our bodies strong, flexible. Flexibility is huge. People don't stretch enough, whether it's doing forms of yoga or just holding a stretch for 30 seconds. It doesn't take long to lie down on the floor or a mat and just pull your knees into your chest and breathe and roll back and forth. It feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting with the breath is so important. Just breathing. People don't breathe. They breathe through like their throat, but they don't breathe deeply. They don't fill their lungs with air. So breathing is super important.
Breathing, absolutely. It's interesting you mentioned that. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed, and we're talking with fitness and nutrition specialist Phyllis Frost. Phyllis, I want to just, if you could quickly summarize, you talked about the 4 cornerstones of fitness, mentioned it real quick. If you could just quickly summarize, what are those 4 cornerstones of fitness? And then I want to dig down a little deeper with each one.
Okay. First of all, I didn't get to cardio. Cardio is very important. So I think there's more than 4. So your cornerstones would be your resistance training, your flexibility training, your cardio, and resistance, cardio, nutrition, and flexibility. Those are the 4 cornerstones of
I think you're bringing, it's important to mention that, because sometimes we think, everyone has their idea of what is fitness and what's involved in it, but it is a full rounded aspect. And if you look at it just as you've explained, I want to go into a little bit more of, when you mentioned resistance training, you also talk about functional training. And I love this aspect that you bring up, Phyllis, when you're talking functional training, because it's real. It makes it simple. So tell us what you mean by functional training.
Okay. So it would mimic activities you do in your everyday life. Okay. So, for example, you bend down and you pick things up, right? You stand up, you sit down. So if you're bending down and you're coming back up, well, maybe, if you could do a deadlift, which would mimic that movement, right? If you're standing up and sitting down, definitely squats mimics that movement. If you're reaching up into cupboards and reaching up for stuff, well, you want to do like a lat pull down, and you want to do exercises that will mimic those movements, or stretches that will mimic the movements that you do. So when I design a functional class, it's always movements that you would do in your everyday life. And bending down, rotation. We don't just move in a linear fashion, right? We rotate, we move laterally, we move, in all different spheres. So we have to be able to different planes. So we want to be able to train the body so that we work in every plane.
When you mentioned at the offset, talking about baby boomers, and now we hear these man bods and mom bods and so on, training the core is crucial. And when we're talking about the baby boomers, I think many of them are interested about core training. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so let me just explain what the core is. If you cut off your arms and legs and your head, that's your core. Basically, your core is your trunk, your torso, your glutes, your back, the whole, like I said, no arms, no legs. So that's the foundation of your body. If the foundation is weak, then that affects everything. It affects your posture. I mean, the head weighs, 12 pounds or something? I mean, your neck has to hold that up. You have to have strong shoulders. You have to have proper posture. And as people age, they tend to cave in a bit. They sit slouched over more, and we lose that. So having a strong core, you're sitting up straighter and taller. If you're doing core work, you are not slouching. So that would be doing planks. There's so many exercises. I'm not going to get into them all now. You can always contact me.
What we'll do, Phyllis, when we come back, I want to hear if you were to recommend 1 or 2 good core exercises for us. We have to head out to traffic, Phyllis. But when we come back, we're going to put you on the spot by putting 1 or 2 good core exercises we can all do. And I guess one of those other cornerstones that I want to talk about is forget about exercising and cardio if you don't have the right nutrition and diet. So we're going to talk a lot about that when we come back from the CJD Traffic Center. But first, let's hear from Jill Fitzgerald.
Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Lianas Senior Transition Support, helping you navigate home care and senior residences.
I'm talking with fitness and nutrition coach Phyllis Frost. Phyllis, going to get you pumped up for this second half of...
I was just dancing. I love that song. I was dancing. I was literally snapping my fingers and dancing.
There you go. All right, Phyllis. You mentioned the 4 cornerstones of fitness. And again, this isn't about New Year's resolutions. How can we do this all year round? I'm going to repeat them: resistance training, flexibility and stretching, cardio, and nutrition. Before we get to the latter half of that, I want to pick up to where we left off before the traffic update. Phyllis, specifically for cardio, us boomers, we need the core part of it. 1 or 2 quick recommendations for a great core exercise.
Absolutely. So a plank, and to get into a plank, anybody who wants to do this, get onto the floor now. I'm going to talk you through it. All right. So basically, you're going to get onto your front. You're going to put your elbows underneath your shoulders. You're going to prop yourself up, flex your feet. So you're in a straight line from the top of your head to your heels. You contract your thighs. You contract your glutes. You roll your shoulders down your back and draw your rib cage together. And you kind of, I know it sounds like a lot, but if you do one at a time, okay, you squeeze your bum, hold that. Now think of squeezing your thighs, okay, hold that. It may not be easy at the beginning, but the whole idea is the stronger you get, the easier it is to be straighter. Now, if it hurts your lower back, you may want to just lift your hips a teeny bit so you're not arching your back. And you want to breathe. You want your hands relaxed. I usually keep my hands underneath. I clasp my hands gently. I don't death grip them. Your face is relaxed. And you hold for as long as you can comfortably. Once you start to lose your form, you come down. And then you slowly work your way up.
And you could feel it. You could feel it in your core,
goodness.
and you'll know. So, all right, we're going to work on our dad bods, mom bods with some core training. I want to move on to one of those other cornerstones. You talked about it briefly: flexibility and stretching.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I do so much restorative yoga with my clients now. It's fabulous. We need it. We absolutely need it. Most people I know have lower back issues, knee, shoulder, neck. And the whole idea is to take care of these issues and then not, aggravate them again. And that's one thing I could say that my clients have thanked me for. That, whatever injuries they had when I met them, they haven't come back since we've been together. So it's very important to do things properly, not to jump into the exercise. Whether you're stretching, no matter what you're doing, you have to position yourself properly, or you can pull something, you can hurt something.
But I think you're bringing up a good point in that as we age, right, Phyllis, heading that treadmill for 45 minutes all out, as we age, I tend to see myself, at least, doing more stretching exercises, flexibility exercises. It's a little too painful to be on that treadmill for so long, but I get a lot of benefit out of that stretching and flexibility. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed, and we're talking to nutrition and fitness expert Phyllis Frost. We're going to go on to the third of 4 cornerstones of fitness. Phyllis, how about cardio?
Okay, so here's what I want to say. Cardio is very important, very important. And if you want to get a pen and paper, I'll give you the very easy formula. You take 220, you subtract your age. That's your maximum heart rate. That's the highest you want to be. And then multiply by, depending on your workout intensity. If you work out at 75%, 80%, you multiply by that number. And that's where you want to be. Now, it also depends on your fitness level because, I'm 62, but my fitness level, may be that of someone much younger than myself. So you want to get your heart rate up to where you feel that you can have a conversation, not so easily, right? And this can be done when you're walking. You don't have to always be running on a treadmill for 45 minutes. I don't run at all. I walk. I love it. I walk through, Centennial Park. I walk at the best pace that I can. That's it. I do as much as I can. My body can't do what it used to do. I have injuries, and it's very important. Instead of saying, I can't do this, do what you can. I have two good friends. They're swimming now. They're in incredible shape. They love to swim. I don't love it. If you love it, swim. The most important thing is to be active, to get your heart beating, to get the blood flowing, and it feeds your muscles. You need it. That's what oxygenates your muscles.
I think that's exactly it, Phyllis. Find your passion. You don't, just because what you see on the news and all these people in the gyms, it doesn't matter. Again, as we age, find something that you're enjoying. If it's a simple walk, get that done. Hey, you want to go in the pool, bike, what have you, but the point you're stressing is just do something. Get out there, get that heart rate up, and so important. A little bit makes a big difference. Can you give some examples of, what would you suggest to your clients for a good cardio exercise? Is it simply what we just said, find your passion, and it doesn't matter which type?
Well, it depends. If this is just everyday life they want, then yeah. I ask them, what do you like? You like the treadmill? Some people like to dance. They do Zumba. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you do it and you are working hard. If you're doing it and you're on the treadmill and you're talking to the person next to you and, you burn done 45 minutes of cardio, you burn 125 calories, that's really not considered cardio. You want to get your heart rate up to about 75 to 85% of your maximum heart rate and maintain that for, a good 20 minutes. It used to be the old standard. I remember when I first started in 1980, it was 12 minutes. Now, 20 minutes and at that heart rate, But really, it's recommended now, they say, to go for long walks. Like if you can go for a walk, for an hour walk, they say sometimes that's better than the cardio. It depends what you're training for. So it's sort of a question that I think it's each person.
Yeah,
for each person.
They're individual one, and certainly walking is simple. Just watch yourself these days. Get those spikes on your shoes. All right, we're going to wrap it up with the fourth cornerstone, and this one, Phyllis, I think is the most important one, perhaps the most difficult one, because we could throw everything out the window, what you've just talked about, if we don't have proper nutrition.
Absolutely. So, in order to be fit and healthy, you have to feed your body accordingly. All right? So lowering sugar consumption is so recommended to reduce inflammation, arthritis, all kinds of disease in the bodies, and body fat. So you want to eat more foods that are high in fiber, vitamins, healthy fat like avocado, olive oil, lean proteins, whole grains, not a multigrain, not like whole wheat, but whole grain. And that's what's suggested for a healthy nutritional plan. Now, some people, like I have a friend, she cannot eat carbs. She cannot eat, she has her body just, she can't. But that's everyone's different. Some people have resistances and intolerance to certain things. But what I found in my experience over the last 42 years, most people, if you follow a reasonable meal plan, eat 3 meals a day, if you need 2 snacks, keep your caloric intake wherever you decide, you and your doctor, nutritionist, trainer decide it should be, and then follow that. And then every once in a while, yes, there's something, but your 90% time, the whole formula is 80-20. I say 90-10. 90% of the time you're good, 10% whatever. But you know what? You have to decide what's important to you. My daughter got married. I didn't eat the sweet stuff. I danced. I enjoyed, but I didn't because, I have an inflammatory disease and I gave up sugar in June. So I made a decision. Do I feel deprived? No, I don't. I feel fabulous, actually.
No, but you know what? You recognize it. And, for anyone, I still can't believe you're 62. Phyllis, go on the Life on Rehearse Facebook page and you're going to say, she's not 62. So you're obviously doing something right. But like you say, right at the very beginning, you need to be accountable to yourself. Yeah, okay, you want to cheat a little bit, no problem at all. But this isn't about New Year's resolutions. You could do this all year round. Really quick, we have about 30 seconds because I know there are advantages of a personal trainer versus the gym. In 30 seconds or less, and this is what you do, Phyllis, and you've got clients that are very happy that have been with you for years. What's the advantage of a personal trainer?
All right. Well, I just want to say that self-care is so important, especially as time goes on, and we have to invest in ourselves. And I know what people have spent on, coffee and alcohol and other habits. And, I think it's very important we invest in ourselves. And what I bring to my clients is my expertise. I'm not a drill sergeant. I listen. I give them what they need, and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that you do. Just before we head out, Phyllis, thank you very much, by the way, for coming on a Saturday here. How can our listeners get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say one more thing. So not only do I help get my clients in shape, I help them ease pain and discomfort, and more importantly, I help them keep it at bay. So that's something very important,
right,
too.
So true.
You can reach me at my email is FitBody by Phil, so it's FIT, FitBody by Phil, PHYL, @gmail.com.
All right. Well,
and I'm on. You can find me as Fit Coach Philly on Instagram, and I'm Phyllis Frost, certified trainer on Facebook.
All right, Phyllis. Thank you very much.
Matt, thank you so much. It's always great to start out the year with you.
All right, Happy New Year. That's fitness and nutrition coach Phyllis Frost. Next up on Life Unrehearsed, we'll be discussing the many types of elder abuse. How do you recognize it, and what you can do to make a difference? That's going to be coming up after the CTV News Update.